All right, episode 115. Today we're going to be talking about the eviction moratorium, inventory levels, and the shifting real estate market. We're going to get started right now.
Welcome to the only real estate podcast worth listening to, with your hosts Nick Good, Matt Kelderman, and Brian Force. Combined, they have 26 years of experience and have sold over 1,500 homes. Join them each week as they bring you everything you need to know about real estate. And now, here are your hosts, Nick, Matt, and Brian.
All right, episode 115. Today we are talking about the eviction moratorium, the shifting real estate market and inventory levels that's going on right now. But before we get started, if this is your first time watching the live stream here, or if you're listening to it on iTunes, please, first off, go to our Facebook group, the only real estate group worth being a part of. And today's show is sponsored by our good friends, Justin Nelson over at Sphere Rocket VA. So if you're looking for virtual assistants, you want to scale your business and do it economically,
we're hiring them in droves.
You just hired two more.
We did.
Absolutely. So go to sphererocketva.com, talk with Justin, let them know that the guys at the only real estate podcast worth listening to sent you, and our good friend Michael DeBacker, our favorite Texas loan officer, mortgagemikeoftexas.com. If you need a good lender, right, and you're not happy with yours, maybe you just need to find one that's going to make you look great, get the job done, go to mortgagemikeoftexas.com and just leave us a 5-star review on iTunes so that we can keep promoting this content out there.
I think we should do, I'm so nervous to say this online, but we should do some sort of jingle contest for Mortgage Mike that we play.
Yes.
And we'll have the audience, if our amazing followers and listeners want to do a contest, we'll do like a song submission thing for a jingle for Mortgage Mike of Texas. Oh man, that would kill me. I would love it. We're going to organize that. We don't do it. Don't start sending us shit right now. We'll organize it. We'll come up with a prize, but I want to get us a jingle for Mortgage Mike at least.
I definitely like that. But today's show, look, we were going to go in a little bit of a different direction, but I made a post yesterday or last night on my Facebook page about the eviction moratorium that had expired, and the CDC elected to go ahead and extend it for another 60 days, right? And first off, the question is October 3rd, right? So the first question that I had when I looked at this, I was like, well, I didn't know that the CDC had the power to actually enforce this ban.
I don't think the Centers for Disease Control had the power to do anything except control diseases. I don't know. It's a weird task, but yeah, I didn't think they could make laws. I'm just reading about it here. You can't see because the cameras are so good that I have my computer up. Biden admitted that the bulk of the constitutional experts he consulted said that extending the moratorium would be unconstitutional.
But
yet he indicated he would still like to pursue it due to a couple of scholars encouraging him. That's a quote. I've been reading a lot of different news sources, so like they're all at least a little biased in their own ways. So
look,
that seems pretty spot on.
I know it's unconstitutional, but we're just going to see. We're going to roll the dice and see what happens with it.
Smoke them if you got them, I guess.
Look, I know it's illegal to do this, but I mean,
we're going to try it.
Yeah, we're going to try it. If we get caught, we'll worry about that then. God. Right? But the question that I really posed is one that, okay, that's great. There's 11 million. Supposedly there's a stat out there that shows that there's 11 million renters that are behind on their rent. Yeah. Right? And, when I first wanted to talk about this, I wanted to see how, as real estate professionals, since this is the only real estate podcast worth listening to, how can we turn this into making sure that we are helping in agents' business? How do we help these investors? How do we help create some inventory?
Sure.
Right? Because if you've been sitting there for the last year not collecting rent, but you have equity in the house because home values are rising, do you want to continue renting that out, or do you want to just unload it? Because I'm tired of this.
Yes.
And I just want to cash out because I don't want to go through that debacle again.
That's going to be hopefully the saving grace for some of these poor landlords. And yes, like you can call me like a big hoity-toity, like fat cat all you want. I feel way worse for the landlords than I do for the renters in this particular situation. I think this eviction moratorium is absolutely ridiculous. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, as of June 2021, unemployment, the highest in the country is New Mexico at 7.9%. The lowest is Nebraska at 2.5%. I don't understand how, with a super like well-known labor shortage in this country right now, where we are trying to get people to take the ample amount of employment opportunities that are out there, that we need to extend an eviction moratorium. I think that the people that worked really, really hard to be able to buy investment properties are getting absolutely screwed right now. And I say that to say, hopefully the saving grace for some of these landlords is that they've built enough equity over the past, call it 14 months or whatever, that we've had this pretty big price run up, that they can liquidate those properties and still come out in the black. Because I think it's a shame if they end up underwater because the CDC decided to kind of screw them a little bit. And so that's an opportunity as an agent or as a real estate professional to find those people and to create inventory.
Yes. And that was that, because what we're seeing right now, right? So as you listen on and you want to continue listening to today's show and leave us that review, right? And go over to the only real estate group worth being a part of, is that we are starting to see inventory levels rise, at least here in the DFW area. More than likely, I bet you that's going to be a universal trend.
Sure.
Here, just pre-owned residential single family houses, we bottomed out in May. It was less than 1 month. I think it was like 0.7, 0.8 months of inventory. Mm-hmm. Now we're sitting at 1.5.
1.5, yeah.
1.5 months of inventory. And we're hearing, right, with agents not setting proper expectations, we're hearing agents being like, why is my house not selling? Why is my listing has all these showings on it, but no offers? And one, it wasn't setting proper expectations. But then I looked at it and said, okay, as a landlord, right? The majority of the nation's landlords are actually individual investors, right? And the question yesterday was, how do we help these landlords out? Because first off, if this has been going on that long and it's hard to evict based on non-payment,
sure,
right? Well, the landlord's losing, the lien holder, the mortgage company is losing, but the renter's winning right now, right? And in essence, right?
Sure.
I wouldn't, in whatever that game's being played. I know I'm going to probably get blasted for saying winning, but at the moment,
I would venture to guess that if you're living somewhere and somebody's paying a mortgage and you're not paying rent, then you're coming out on top.
Yes, more than likely, depending on maybe they lost their job or whatever that may be.
This is aside from the empathy that I have for your personal situation. I'm just saying in this particular rent to landlord situation, you're getting the benefit of the doubt.
Right. So the stat was the majority of the nation's landlords are individual investors. They own about 23 million units and 17 million properties, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Right. And so this eviction moratorium is killing the small landlords. And I'm seeing, at least in the comments on my Facebook page, that there's definitely two sides. There's just get the bums out of there. Their words, not mine. Right? That's not my words. That's using what was on the comments.
That's a direct quote.
Yes. Or what about the renters?
Right.
What about them who are behind? Where are they going to go? If you evicted all 11 million, where were they going to go?
But why would you need to evict all 11 million? I'm not understanding that. And it looks like I might be so off base here because I pride myself on not knowing everything. I sit in this office all day and try to grow this business. So I might be way off base here. But to the best of my knowledge, we don't have high unemployment right now. And we have a shortage of labor and an ample opportunity for filling jobs right now in this country. I know that we're both going through it. So I just... And I appreciate Jesse pulling up some stats here. If I'm starting to sound like an idiot, because I hope I'm not off base, but I might be. I don't understand why you would need to evict all 11 million people, because I don't think that the eviction moratorium in general served the purpose that it was intended to do, which was save people who would have been evicted for non-payment. I think that it was something that's put in the pace because of the pandemic, and we rebounded from the pandemic economically relatively quickly. We figured out how to work from home. We figured out how to keep things moving forward. I don't understand why all these people would get evicted.
And if I can have permission from, just our listeners and viewers on this of taking this in a hypothetical question, right?
Sure.
I was talking to a friend about this today, and this is not going to pertain to building your real estate business, by the way, but I do want to ask the question. I'm like, what happens, right? My brother and I own quite a few rentals, right? So I don't necessarily think that we would fall into necessarily the individual investor category.
Sure.
Right. But let's say that, Brian, you own 1 or 2 rental properties.
Okay. Average landlord, I looked it up, owns 3. So
average
right
landlord,
on there.
Yeah. So 3. And let's say that they've got debt service on it. So they have a lien, right? And they're cash flowing $200 to $500 a month when the renter's paying.
Sure.
So for the past year, let's say that it's an older home. And for the past year, there's been no rent collected.
Sure.
The landlord's not making any money, but this older home now has maintenance issues that come up.
Yeah, the AC went out.
Let's say the AC goes out,
Sure.
or the plumbing goes out. What happens now to the landlord that is actually from property management? They need to provide a house that has working plumbing, and in Texas, AC.
Yep.
Because of the heat right now.
Yep.
What happens if the non-paying renter, tries to sue the landlord for having a house in disrepair, not up to rental standards?
Yeah. And I don't know how the legality works around that, as far as if you are only there as a non-paying renter because of a moratorium, can you sue over those things? But I'll paint you an even bleaker picture, right? Let's say that the landlord can't afford those capital expenditures, so he needs to liquidate the property as quickly as possible. What keeps him from selling to an institutional investor that does have the cash and the capital to go make those to have those capital expenditures and make those repairs? Now we're becoming more of an institutionalized society from a real estate holdings perspective, right? This moratorium could in fact be encouraging some of the major institutional buyers. You're just feeding them like pigs at the trough, these properties, because people can't the average landlord who only does have 3 properties can't afford to keep them all running right now if nobody's paying. And so you're shifting the entire kind of zeitgeist of society around what it means to rent and own real estate, just by basically spoon feeding opportunities to institutional investors rather than
dumb that down for everyone else.
So
I know what you're talking about, because we've talked about this.
Let's say that I own a rental property and it's the exact same situation you were just saying. Nobody's been paying me for a year. My AC goes out. It's going to cost $5,000 to fix. I don't have it. I'm barely able to pay the mortgage because my renter hasn't been paying forever. And I get a letter from Open Door saying that they're going to buy my house for X amount. And I go, you know what? That actually sounds pretty fucking good right now. Yep. Like, they can go fix the AC. The prices have run up so high in the last year. I'm going to take my money and run. Well, now you multiply that against a few 100,000 landlords across the country. And what do you have? You have a few people at the top, institutions that had the capital to be able to take advantage of those opportunities in mass. And now you see this incredible wealth shift to those institutions who are now going to be the major holding companies for all of the renters in society, or in the United States.
So then we become a rental society, like you said. And it's funny you brought that up, because that wasn't the direction I was taking this in. Sure. So I'm glad you did, because I do have this report here that a survey done by 1000 Watt that said 82% of homeowners in this survey said that they're either more likely to trust information from Zillow than from a real estate agent, or trust them about the same, right? And that the huge number of homeowners are willing to consider an iBuyer, right? And so from that, if the concern I have and what people aren't talking about it, so let's use this platform, maybe from this show, the direction that we're taking it in today, that you as the real estate professional can be the sounding board, that the younger generation sound like, they'll say like, oh, I want to rent. That sounds great. But the buddy I was talking to today, I said, look, you're kind of that way. You own a home now. Sure. But you also were cool with renting.
Sure.
But there's a difference in net worth between a renter and a homeowner. And for the majority of the world, the majority of the population in the United States, the way that they build their wealth is through their personal home, their real estate residence. Sure. right? And there's studies that show like a homeowner is 44 times, their net worth is 44 times greater than that of a renter.
I believe that.
So if we don't stop this now, if we don't make this an issue, and it starts heading into that institutionalized rental society, where are people now building their net worth?
I mean, you can look at other countries across the globe and you can get a relatively bleak picture of what the individual is capable of as far as building net worth in more institutionalized societies, as far as who controls most of the assets. It's not a super pretty picture.
No.
I would say, because I've talked about this with a lot of people, right? There's a big fear out there that, let's just say that institutions, BlackRock grab us up, 95% of all the assets across the country, and now everybody's renting. People talk about, well, now they control the rental rates and they go super high. Well, I don't think that's a big concern, because it is still a market. Like people can only pay a certain amount if the economy is such, right? Like if people only make X amount of money, they can only pay X amount in rent. So you're going to have a ceiling of what you can essentially, charge people for rental rates or whatever. I don't see like hyperinflation duplicating itself in the rental market, and like all of a sudden we're all paying $5,000 for a studio apartment. Like I don't see that as the bleak picture. I also just think that where you're going with this, I think, is correct. If we do not have the ability to compete with institutions from an asset ownership standpoint, the ability for the individual to build their net worth in this country shrinks greatly.
Yes.
There are more, real estate holdings are the number one wealth builder in America, and it's not even close. I would say individually owned small businesses are number two, and equities, being the stock market, would be number three probably. But real estate is far and away number one. And if you don't have the ability to own it, your ability to build your net worth is very limited.
By the way, if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, tax agents comment on this, right? Like there needs to be more words about this getting out, right? More conversations. Because I don't think as real estate professionals, we're so far focused on our business, right? Where the next deal is coming from. How can we help this client in these multiple offer situations? How can we help this seller whose home is sitting on the market a little bit longer than normal, because we may have overpromised and we're not delivering on that promise, that we're not being the sounding board, the real estate advisor, the expert in this. And honestly, that puts us out of business, because this report concerns me. This report of 87% or 82% of homeowners said they were either more likely to trust information from Zillow than from a real estate agent, or trust them about the same. And that 77% of homeowners would be probably or maybe willing to take 5 to 10% less for their home to avoid the hassle of a traditional sale in favor of the convenience and certainty of an instant cash offer.
So why do you think that is?
Because the
first part, where more homeowners are willing to trust an iBuyer.
Well, it's more right now. It's Zillow, right? So and people say that they like Zillow, right? And they feel that it's trustworthy because Zillow has created. It's about the marketing and the brand, and real estate agents have, because of how regulation is as well, that there's been rules around, kind of we're not really a unified message.
No, not at all.
Right. And it's cutthroat. And, I'll take you on a little bit of a story that I've said, on my Facebook as well, Facebook Live on my personal page, is that, if we were to do this as real estate professionals, we would be blasted. So I was looking at buying a house, right? This was a couple of weeks ago. I was looking at buying a house. I made an offer full ask price on a house, right? Yeah. They countered back $35,000 higher. And we didn't take it, but at the same
with no competing
offers that we know about. Right. I think the agent was not truthful in that. I can't prove it, so I'm not just gonna slander it. But at the same time, I got an open door offer on my home.
Yeah,
right. And it was a ridiculous offer.
Ridiculously high. Okay.
Right. And so I was like, cool, I'm going to entertain it. Right. Because I also need that safety net if I did buy this other house. And so that offer that Open Door had sent me, I went through their process. And the real offer was $58,700 lower.
Wait, say that again. So
They sent me.
They sent you the emailed offer or whatever.
They sent me a preliminary offer.
Oh, okay.
Right.
And then they do their analysis.
Through it. Then they do go through the analysis, and it was $58,700 lower. And I'm over here, and I said, if I'm a real estate professional, where in this report right here, 82% of homeowners would trust a Zillow or a Zestimate more than they would trust a real estate professional. If I were to do that, if I went to you, Brian, and I said, hey, I could sell your home for $58,700 higher, and I didn't do it, you would probably be roasting me, blasting me, and talking shit about me.
100%.
Right? So the problem is it's real estate agents. We're not acting professionally. We're not getting the right message out there. And we're not talking about institutional buyers. We're not talking about, look at it right now. We went from 23 live viewers down to 14 right now. People aren't sharing this out there because, one, it's too complicated to think about. Because they just got in this business, and I'm gonna blast agents a little bit. They got in this business for time freedom and to make a shit ton of money, and not really to work 40 hours or a full time career. Like in all reality, those are the three reasons. And so
there's industries out there that exist. OnlyFans is still going strong.
Justin Nelson tried it.
My God, that just drives me crazy. I agree. The time freedom thing coupled with I want to make unlimited income is so bananas to me.
But when we talk about this eviction moratorium, I see too many agents trying to make this about politics, and this isn't about politics. This is more about how do we help not just the renters that are behind, right? If you kicked all 11 million out, right? I made this comment. I said, look, I'm not for kicking all 11 million
you'd
out.
have just as big a problem if you kicked 11 million people out of their homes. First
of all, what would that do? That would actually create a bigger problem, because that would increase suicide rates. That would probably increase domestic violence. That would probably increase crime, right? So you can't do that. By the way, typically, even if you were evicting, it takes at least 30 days to evict. I was going to say,
at least is kind of the most streamlined way you can do it. It's probably going to be
right.
more.
So you're not kicking everyone out on the street. You're probably going to, just like the banks, you're going to work out some type of solution.
Sure.
But we need to get in front of these investors and protect them, or help them. Protect them, I don't know if is the right word, but help them either sell to families that are needing to get in houses, and start creating more inventory for the market.
I think this is really one of I being a real estate professional. It's weird to say this, but I tend to shy away from the idea normally that real estate agents have a lot of say in what happens in the market. And I say that what was the comment Kelderman made the other day whenever he was doing his Facebook Live, and that guy commented like all the real estate agents were conspiring to raise prices. Stuff cracks me up. So I obviously don't think things like that really happen. I do think, though, this is one of the times where agents, informed, solid, strong real estate professionals, can have a tremendous effect on the direction of the future of the real estate industry and the real estate market itself. Education and finding the ability to get solid information to the right people and help them through difficult situations. It's one, what we're supposed to do anyway. And two, I don't think it's ever been more important than it is right now, because the reality, we already covered this. The moratoriums are set up as such that this is legitimately spoon feeding more opportunity to the people with the largest capital storage, like the largest stores of capital, right? And that is going to be your institutional buyers, but it doesn't need to be that way, right? With literally, we say this all the time, but it is still true. With literally historically low interest rates and very low inventory, you would be so much better as a seller right now, especially of a secondary property or an investment property, selling it on the open market than to an investor right now. And I think going back to what you said about this offer getting lower at $58,000, this is to dive, I don't want to dive too deep into that conversation, but I will say people are much more forgiving of automations than they are of human beings, right? Meaning if Open Door makes you an offer and then they reduce it by a big amount, you're more likely to go, well, it's still convenient and they didn't see the house in person, so I get it, whatever, you know what I mean? When a real estate agent comes and doesn't do their job, you've built this level of intimacy and trust with them that now you feel like they've let you down personally. So it's going back to the agent that you were working with before on that deal. It's we've got to be able to, one, reach sellers and give them the right message, and two, represent them freaking properly. Stop being such boneheads and letting your sellers run the show to their own detriment, because it's not good for any of us, and it's especially not good for the clients.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you know, we need to do, and maybe we make this show a platform for that, because I don't want to see, I mean, I'll just keep buying more properties and be a medium, small or medium institutional buyer. And maybe I just get bought out, and then I just go live in one of the rentals, I guess. And you know, because again,
you remind me, I don't know why these references keep popping up. You guys ever seen that movie, Get Him to the Greek?
Yes.
No.
I love that
You
movie.
sound like P. Diddy in the office at the beginning, where it's like, this meeting's for y'all. Yeah. I'm going to be fine. I own 21 kookaroos. Like, that's what Nick sounds like right now. But it's true, right? Like, look, there's going to be opportunity out there, and there's going to be opportunity for people to continue to build wealth if they have the ability to snatch up some of these properties. As a real estate professional, there's a lot more opportunity to go and build your business around finding more people who could use your services if you're representing them properly and you know the avenues by which to reach them. And I think that's really one of the things we want to talk about a lot today. We can dive into it an hour later, but finding the people that need this message right now.
yes,
You know what I mean? They need the message that they've built a lot of equity. If they are going to sell, don't sell to an institution who's sending you some postcard and then is going to knock the price down 20% when they do their actual analysis, and it's going to charge you 11% convenience fee on top of that, right? Like, find a true fiduciary to maximize the return on your investment. Can you imagine building a stock portfolio for years and years and years, and then just giving like a huge chunk of it when you sell everything and retire to some advisor who's not even done anything for you? It's just some automated system. That's what you're doing when you sell to an institution.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Well, and so shifting from the moratorium, right, where we're getting the message out. Maybe it's creating a little bit of an opportunity for inventory,
Sure.
right? Because we are starting to see inventory levels creep up.
Yep.
And with that, the next message that's coming out is that we're in a market shift, and the market, and I'm seeing agents screaming, and some people that actually have been on the show before, right? I won't name the person by name, but they're saying
Derek,
Jeff,
Matt Kelderman.
Yes, it's all Kelderman, right? And by the way, where is Kelderman? That dude just
his beachside.
Yeah.
I think he was watching a second ago.
Was he?
I think I saw him jump on.
Go back to vacation.
But the problem is that we are seeing agents fearmonger people into saying the bubble has burst, the foreclosures are coming, the market's going to drop, prices are dropping, and get your checkbook ready. Actually, there's two people that have said that. Get your checkbook ready to buy all these foreclosures.
You still buy properties with a checkbook?
I mean, no, I just wire it.
Yeah.
Get your wiring.
Get your wire instructions ready.
Yes, get your keyboard fingers ready, right? And well, sometimes actually we do sometimes just get a cashier's check.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah,
that doesn't come in a book though.
Yeah, so get your cashier's check ready, where you get the binder out and then you just write it down and
tear it off.
You got the carbon copy and you just got to press hard, right?
3 times press hard.
But from that is the message right now is that with inventory levels going up, you have an opportunity as an agent to reinvigorate those buyers that may have gotten burnt out. Maybe they've got their ass kicked.
Yep.
And they're like, you know what, Brian, we're going to wait.
This is such a good conversation because I would say, just first off, when we kind of segue into this, I think we do. In my perspective, I think we talk about like rental properties and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, like our minds automatically go to like smaller, shittier properties for some reason.
Yes.
Like, and when they shouldn't, the average rental property is like a standard 4.2 or 3.2, like normal suburban home. So like, we've been using this message in many forms in our team meetings for months and months and months now. Use your buyers as assets to create inventory, right?
Yes.
Who has not had really a shot? I'm going to burp in 5 seconds. I'll just do it now. Okay. Felt it creeping up. Who has been missing out on opportunity in this market for the last year and a half? FHA buyers, VA buyers, first-time home buyers, anybody using down payment assistance, all that type of stuff, right? And whether or not that changes, going forward, I have no idea. When we talk about a market shift, we all We all talk about market shifts like it's the boogeyman, like looming over us, like markets shift, markets change. The market is always in a constant state of flux. Stop panicking. And if you're using your buyers as assets to create inventory, this is actually a massive opportunity to grow your business. You're providing a service to two different parties that otherwise wouldn't have had that service. You're using your buyers, or for your buyers, you're going and creating off-market opportunities for them that wouldn't have otherwise existed. And for owners, especially landlords, you're creating an opportunity to sell at market value to somebody that, again, the convenience factor of selling an institution still exists. You have a willing and able buyer. You're not putting it on the open market if you don't need to. You're not dealing with like whatever the hassle is. They always talk about the hassle. I don't really know what that is. But you're solving two situations there, and it's a massive opportunity to grow your business. It's about, like I said, utilizing your buyers as assets. Two, it's about figuring out how to reach those people. How do you find off-market properties and find, call it shadow inventory, or whatever silly phrase we use, right? And create opportunities there.
Did shadow inventory come up in the 08 or
People love saying that.
Yes. Like, is it supposed to be scary? Or is it supposed to be good?
I don't know. It makes you think of like Assassin's Creed or something. I don't know what that,
I've always wondered, like,
I never played that
I've been
game.
waiting for shadow inventory. Like, if you remember back in December when we had Armando Montalongo on, he brought up shadow inventory, and I disagreed with him then.
He also seems like a guy who likes saying shadow inventory.
Yes, right. And I still disagree with him today, right? And so far, I think I've been right. So far,
I agree.
Right. But I mean, I do love the guy. He's a great guy. He obviously has done well in the investment game.
Sure.
But with creating your own quote unquote shadow inventory,
right,
where you have a hit list, right? You've got your FHA buyer. How do you solve their problem? Right. And you solve their problem by going and looking at opportunities in neighborhoods or homes that have been on the market. Right. I did the training today for quite a bit of agents, and we were talking about the opportunity for buyers. The question came up: how do I help a buyer win when they're not as cash strong right now in this market?
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's a great question, because if you're looking at inventory levels, go pull every house that's been on the market 15 plus days.
Sure.
Because what typically is happening, right? I said, I was like, look, these homeowners are freaking out, right? Because their friends are like, Brian, why is your house not selling? What's wrong with it? Like my house over here sold in 1 hour.
My house sold before it was built.
Yes, 1 hour, and it went for $400,000 over asking price. You can't even get your house sold. What's wrong with this?
Like, we're not friends anymore.
And so I was like, these homeowners are hearing everything. Yeah. The agent's gone ghost on them because they don't know. They don't want to sound bad, right? And be like, well, I'm obviously not doing my job because I didn't set the right expectation.
Sure.
And so now you as an agent have this buyer. You can come in, and the homeowners they're so worried about what's going on that they may take any offer right now just so that they can get old Jeff off their friend Jeff to stop talking to their like, Brian, what's wrong with your house, man?
Yeah.
These people really don't like it. I thought, man, I kind of thought you had a nice house, but obviously not.
Right.
Right. All these buyers coming through, and they just obviously think it's trash. And so you have that opportunity to win. Or you can go see in a neighborhood where there's been multiple offers and houses have sold for well over asking price.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is either door knock it or circle prospect it or circle text it.
Yeah.
Right. To where you let them know, hey, I have a buyer who is, we just executed a contract today that it was a single mom, soon to be single mom with 2 kids. And the homeowner is also a single mom. So that resonated.
Oh, okay. So the buyer and the homeowner.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Right. And so that really resonated over all the other offers.
Yeah.
And so it's again, compelling that story in there and letting the circle prospect. If you circle prospect, you're going to find an opportunity.
We talk about this every chance we get with our team is find the story to tell. People learn and people communicate in stories. And so, yes, I mean, down to really, really easy strategies like find the neighborhoods where you can tell the story, right? What has gone for X amount over asking or X amount of days on market. You can create a story out of any statistic, right? You should be able to. And then it's about, look, we talk about the technical side of this and the tactical side, right? Like I can show you ways for $100 a month. You could pull 10,000 properties and find their information, and you could manipulate the data in any way you want, right? People that would be at risk of those big capital expenditures because of the eviction moratoriums and them not being able to really make their payments or handle big time repairs because nobody's paying rent right now.
By the way, let me ask you this, right? I'll put you on the spot.
Sure.
Maybe you know how to do this with the current tools, or we can find the tools to help people do this.
Okay.
How do you pull a list of people that own multiple properties?
I'm gonna do that shit right now.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell them?
Oh. I mean, I could tell. Yeah, you could do it with a million different things, right? You could do it the most basic way that you possibly could, and that would be through county tax rolls. The other ways, you could just sign up for a service like PropStream or something like that. That's what we use.
There's a company out there called Prospect Now.
Prospect Now. If you're in the Southwest, Propelio is a great one. Freedom Soft is a good one. All kinds of stuff. There's all sorts of data aggregates that I will tell. Like, and I'll preface this by saying, like, if you haven't already been using some sort of program to be mining and pulling and refining data for a while now, you really need to get on that train, right? Like, understand this is what Fortune 100 companies do every day, is just mine for data and try to reach their consumers in more efficient ways. And we need to be doing that in real estate as well. So we do everything on our side. We do everything from, all sorts of intricate lists from data aggregates like a PropStream or something like that, all the way down to shout out to some of the Propelio guys. I learned this from a video that Daniel Moore put up 5 years ago, and I went back and forth with him on this. We figured out how to. And we have a whole system set up where we pull the water shutoff and code violations list every single month from every residential property for about 130 cities in North Texas. And we do it all with our awesome virtual assistants. Shout out Justin Nelson at Sphere Rocket VA. And it's all public information here in Texas. Now, your state may be different, but then you can take that data, plug it into one of your programs, and then refine it again, right? What properties have just been sold? What properties have, liens on them? What properties are part of portfolios of people that own multiple properties? You can refine and manipulate the data any way that you want. And the longer you do it, the better you get at it. But over time, you start to build out a really easy to use interface where you go, I have a buyer who needs this. Let's go into my program and figure out how to contact these 500 people.
Yeah.
And if you could build that out, holy crap, is there opportunity right now?
Yeah.
Because people are waiting for their phones to ring and someone to throw them a lifeline.
I agree. And that's actionable items.
Sure.
Right. So 5-star review on iTunes, please. I mean, sometimes we talk in generality, but I mean, no, I don't, we don't get anything from PropStream. We don't get anything from Propelio.
No, we don't. But we also use like Cole's Directory. Cole Directory is a great one here in Texas that we use. And we tell our agents this all the time. Find the way to tell the story. So if you have a great story, like we had a listing that sold for $1.135 million this year, a couple months ago. And it actually expired for less than $800,000 last year. So it's an amazing story to tell. Man, we blew up every neighborhood in a 5-mile radius with that story, right? We pulled all the information, set up some text message automations, and all we're doing is prompting conversations with people that we'll put into our database. We'll continue to nurture over time. Like this is how you imagine your business through big models and big systems, like, the guy that wrote the Red Book would say, big models, big systems.
I think his name's Gary.
His name's Gary Keller, and he wrote a phenomenal book that I still read to this day. So it's not over there.
Yeah, it's like you're pointing over there.
It's in the other room.
Yeah, I see some, but I want to shift to the shifting market, right?
Okay.
And the reason why I want to talk about that is it goes along with the eviction moratorium. I want to talk about even how we just talked about the shadow inventory that sounds scary. The shifting market, these real estate agents, and again, there's people that have been on the show that are using this to say that the short sales are coming. The short sales are coming, right? And I'm looking at an Inman article that talks about bidding wars are cooling off, how to prepare for a shift. And on section 8 of that article, it talks about buyers turn sellers who overpaid, right? And in I'm just looking down. It says, can you say the words short sale? The seller wasn't able to pursue a short sale. The question was always asked on the listing appointment, can you bring any money to closing? They're already preparing for short sales. And they're not looking at the data.
Where are the short sales going to come from?
Well, from homeowners and agents.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yes.
Who's going to be underwater?
Well, people. So this is the problem in our industry, right?
Yeah.
This is where we go back to the beginning, where 82% of homeowners trust Zillow better than us.
Kind of freaking should sometimes,
because
man.
they're not doing the research. And by the way, all this research is free. I'm going to Keeping Current Matters, and there's an article titled "Keeping Current Matters gives the best data."
Yeah, they do.
Right, and it's not designed. It's not data to influence it one way or the other. It's actually just used in a story to help you be able to relay it to your clients.
Yeah,
and it says 4 reasons why the end of forbearance will not lead to a wave of foreclosures. Right, and in here it makes a lot of sense. What, again, something, when to my own horn, I've been preaching, we're not going to see foreclosures because of how much equity in that we have in the house.
Yes.
So, number one, there are fewer homeowners in trouble this time, right? So during the last housing crisis crash, there was 9.3 million households that lost their home to foreclosure, short sale, or because they just gave it back, deed in lieu, right? And last year, as stay-at-home orders during the pandemic increased, it was many experts projected 30% of all mortgage holders would enter into the forbearance program. Though, again, scare tactic, only 8.5% did.
Actually did.
Then from that, today, we fast forward today, out of that 8.5, there's 3.5% that is still in loan forbearance.
Sure.
Right? And so that means that, first off, 5%, we're fine.
Sure.
Right? They've graduated out. Congratulations. Hopefully you had a graduation party.
We did it.
Yep. And so, this says as of last Friday, so whenever this article was written, which was most recent, it said the total number of mortgages still in forbearance stood at 1.863 million, right? And so it's like, look, that's a large number, but it's nowhere near the 9.3 that we saw during the last housing crisis. Then,
so many variables.
Yes.
That they didn't take into account.
Then they take in, all right, most of the 1.86 million in forbearance have enough equity to sell. So out of that 1.86, this is where you got to understand, 87% of that 1.86 million that's in loan forbearance have at least 10% equity in their home.
Did you say 87% of that 1.86 million?
Yep.
So we have what? 250,000 houses, possibly. That's it.
So that leaves 13% remaining, which is 241,800.
Bro, my
mortgages.
math was almost legit.
So
That
here's the thing.
guess.
To give that number context, here are the annual foreclosures numbers for the last 3 years leading up to the pandemic. 2017, 314,220 foreclosures.
Yep.
Right? I didn't hear people screaming about anything bad then. That the housing bubble was falling, the crashing, getting destroyed, that prices were just going to go into the shitter, right? 2018, 279,040 foreclosures. In 2019, 277,520 foreclosures. So just like we talk about, Brian, when we had the gentleman on about, Zillow's going to put us out of business.
Yeah.
And taking that concept where he was like, it would wipe out, 97% or whatever it was. Right. This is assuming that all 241,800 people that were truly in trouble would just say, all right, bank, here it is.
Yeah.
Foreclose it, take it back, whatever, which doesn't happen.
Just across the board. Yeah.
Right. So, guys, this is where the shift, everything is done as scare tactics. And this is the problem in our industry.
It's fear porn. People like it. You could say, isn't it?
Just the way you look. It's fear porn. And you looked up and meant like, that's a weird POV.
I don't want to get political at all, but it's amazing to me on a personal note. It's amazing to me how these kinds of conversations we could almost, if we didn't say the words real estate, we could almost have the same conversation about a lot of things in this world, right? Like, information is influence, and we use influence to guide people to think and feel a certain way,
so
right?
The only podcast worth listening to.
It's nobody was freaking out about foreclosures in 2019, even though 314,000 of them happened. You could say the same thing about some viruses too. It is our job as real estate professionals, I certainly believe, and this is why we can't get so bought into the hype and the headlines. The only constant between right now and 2008 is the asset in question is residential real estate. If you can't see past the difference in these two situations and all those variables and think that just because prices have gone up and there's an eviction moratorium for until October 3rd or it's whatever, right? There's going to be some huge bubble burst. You're going to need to be able to articulate what that bubble is to be able to serve your clients well, right? The variable right off the bat, that was a weird beep. Right off the bat, talk about the causes of the bubble. Price increases in and of themselves do not create bubbles, right? Fraudulent lending practices create bubbles. Terrible, unpayable, adjustable rate mortgages cause bubbles, right? All of those things can lead to way out of hand, unmitigated, unpayable debt, right? There's man, I could talk about this all freaking day.
We're 47 minutes.
Yeah, it's such a morbid way. I love talking about the Great Recession. And I say that to say, if you're just saying that, like, oh, well, it happened in 2008 and now prices have gone up a lot, it might happen now. Like, you're not really being intellectual. Like, you're not coming from an intellectually genuine standpoint, and you're not advising your clients very well. If you want to create opportunity in your business, it is important that you at least know something about how the markets work, because that's how you advise people.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, and that's the problem that again we've talked about it. We've made comments about it. We haven't really nailed it down in an episode format. So where. Again, I've seen it on our Facebook comments, on ads where their agents saying, wait 6 months. Trust me, you'll thank me. Wait 6 months. And I'm like, no, they won't thank you, right? Because one, you won't still have your license because you're not selling any houses.
Yeah, why would you be rooting against your own industry?
And at the same time, prices are still going up.
Yeah.
Right? There is a lot of that happening where prices will still see appreciation happening, right? And depending on your marketplace, right? You know, if we look at July's numbers, the median sales price of pre-owned houses for single family home fell by $4,000.
It did. I saw that yesterday before team meeting.
So it fell by $4,000. I guarantee you that there's agents out there that saw that and said,
"Here it comes, guys."
Yep. Values dropping.
Well, if you were one of the agents that said that, then you didn't look far enough back on the chart, because I can just pull up the 3-year right now and show you how that happened in 2020, 2019, and 2018.
And it always happens right after July.
It's
July,
from June to
July has always been in the North Texas area.
Sales
the cliff
price has dropped. Yep, $4,000, and then June of 2020, it dropped $5,000. June to July of 2019, it dropped $7,500. June,
according to Open Door,
June to July of 2018, it dropped $6,000.
$58,700. And one.
I mean, Jesse's on the Jesse cam. You can see the chart right here. This is normal data. Right?
And one email. Yeah. So, as we wrap this up, I mean, this needs to be shared out.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it on you guys. If you've listened to this, you need to be, we better see the shares. We better see agents tagged in this, because this is on us. If not, look, we're going to be selling a whole bunch to Open Door and to industrial buyers like a BlackRock.
Can you imagine being a doctor right now and just being like,
I couldn't go to school that long. I can't imagine it.
I would. Okay. So let's do lawyer instead, because I don't want to make this relevant to the pandemic. Let's just say, can you imagine just some other service-based fiduciary, right? Can you imagine being
like
an
ice cream truck driver?
There you go, ice cream truck driver. I don't have a good example for that. We'll do lawyer. Can you just do a lawyer right now and just be like, you're talking to people in lawyer groups on Facebook, and you're like, bro, we're about to lose so many cases. Like, it's going to be terrible. The bubble has burst. Everyone understands that law is bullshit. Like, it's ridiculous.
Ice cream truck forum, like the heat's coming. All my popsicles and ice cream's going to melt.
We're basically living on the sun.
Yeah, I just know global warming. Global warming is going to make me lose all my inventory right now.
Wait 6 months to invest in an ice cream cone. It'll be way cheaper.
Don't buy it right now because it's all melted.
Why would you? It's such a silly thing that we do as real estate professionals. Like, just wait, it's going to get real bad.
And look, and maybe they're being genuine in it, maybe.
Maybe.
I think that they are projecting and they're projecting what they thought was going to happen. They just think 08 is going to happen all over again because they just don't understand the economics of it. They don't understand what caused 08.
Yeah.
And
it also just feels good to predict things. It's like the people that predict the end of the world every year. If they're just right one time,
well, we're not going to remember it.
Well, you will in the afterlife if you get on the spaceship that they're trying to get you on.
Brian was right.
Yeah.
Man, I should have listened to him. I should have gone on this time.
Dude, I only got to predict the end of the world once to just scoreboard you for the rest of eternity. And I can predict it as many times as I want. That's what it feels like. It feels like we're always looking for doom and gloom.
I mean, can we start a GoFundMe? End of world GoFundMe? That would be a Brian's
What are we going to do with the
idea.
money? There's not going to be any stores anymore.
Well, but we can every year, and if it doesn't happen, then we just go and use it to have it not into the world party.
That's you. We'll throw a big party instead.
Yeah.
Like we got a $3 million party we're going to throw now.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, if this was valuable, it better be. Like, I'm really like, I think you can hear the passion that Brian and I have on this one, because I'm going to say it's pretty pathetic. One, that the survey that consumers trust Zillow more than us, because I know most real estate agents really do a good job.
I agree.
And that's pathetic, and that's on us. And we also don't need to be losing to iBuyers. Not that we need to see it as a threat and concern, but you need to understand what it can do long term, right? One, it's going to put you out of business because if no one's selling, if it's a rental society, then you're in trouble there.
Yeah, they won't need you.
Right. So tag some agents in this, share this out, and go and check out our vendor partners, right? Go check out our sponsors of this, Justin Nelson, Sphere Rocket VA for your virtual assistants, as well as our good friend, our good buddy, Michael DeBacker.
Yeah.
MortgageMikeofTexas.com. If you're needing a loan officer, if you're a Texas real estate agent, or if you're sending a referral this way, like Kelderman and Elizabeth, get a ton of agent referrals, and you want to set your client up right, send it to Michael DeBacker first.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep. So MortgageMikeofTexas.com. Go to the only real estate group worth being a part of, and iTunes 5-star review.
I'll do it this week. Jesse, take us out.
Hey, thank you for watching. We truly appreciate it. Checking out another episode of the Only Real Estate Podcast worth listening to. If you're watching this on YouTube, please go ahead, hit that share button, hit that like button, and hit the subscribe button. Right? We're dropping more stuff on YouTube constantly. If you're on iTunes, leave us a review, please. We're really, really focused on building up those reviews so we can get more searchable content on there. And if you're on Facebook, like everyone else is, go over and search the only real estate group worth being a part of. You're going to want to go join that group. I'm telling you right now, there's so much gold in there. So go join, share us on YouTube, and leave us that iTunes review, please. Go do it right now. We'll see you on the next show.